Downloading the games that I need to for this stream. I mean, I would have been doing that offline anyway, but I thought I would just get ready slightly early today. As I keep we're going to have the cacophony of many pieces of music while I install the minion games. Where is that one even coming from? Oh, it's Blood Thief. Of course it is. How did I not know from the sound? So we've got Vitrified, we've got Skondo versus Stage Fright, we've got Breathing on the Beach, which is a short interactive story. Legion Logistics, which was a game that came out of the... I'll move these across. Legion Logistics, which was a game that came out of the collaboration jam we did back in April, which was very cool. We did a game jam where basically there was quite a loose theme on the actual games, but the rule of the jam was you weren't allowed to work on your own. That was to sort of encourage people who had never done a sort of collaborative game before to try to do that. It's great to see some people are still working on games from that jam. You know, doing a jam is always a good exercise in its own right, but it's always amazing when you see game jam games sort of continue and get a kind of life of their own outside of the jam. Hi Alp, thanks for joining. Smoke Indie G Clinic, yeah. It's been a little while since anyone showed up on stream and called me Indie. My favourite example of that is... my favourite example of that is this. I've forgotten all of my... forgotten all of my in keyboard shortcuts. There we go. There's this interview with Annie Austin with this guy, Conversations with Tyler.
Today I'm very happy to be here live
and he keeps calling Austin Annie
the thing that sets you apart. It's no longer
throughout this entire video. This is quite a good interview. I don't know if you've seen Annie Austin. He does these like weird deep dives where he looks at the phone cables in Red Dead Redemption or the rivers in The Witcher. He's one of my favorite YouTubers, but yeah, in this interview, the other guy Tyler keeps calling him Annie instead of Austin, and it's like his name is literally in his handle. That is his actual name. Maybe they thought it was a town in Texas or something, but I don't know. So we're gonna check out we're gonna check out some games from the Discord. So if you're new to the channel, the Discord is made up of people that support this channel in general via Discord or YouTube memberships, and then there's the odd person who snuck in because I played their game on the stream and I liked it. Oh yeah, the Smugpie, the Cyberpunk Rivers one is great. The thing that's really good about the interview I just showed you, the one with Tyler, is that Annie Austin sort of talks about why he does what he does. And one of the things I really like about his attitude is that he has this attitude that the games aren't the point and we should use games to think and talk about other things. And there's so much content about games where it's just like, oh, let's watch this video essay about games, and we can all show how much we know about games by talking about how this game is like this game and how this sequel to this game did this thing differently. And he kind of completely blows that out of the water by being like, no, actually, we're gonna play this AAA game and talk about how these systems in the real world work, which I think is fantastic. He's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like a cool geography teacher. It's like, hey kids, today we're doing cyberpunk geography. Yeah, Stanley, you're right. I imagine the teams have a field day watching those. And the thing is, you kind of see some continuity between teams where we were watching one the other day, and it was about the rivers in The Witcher, and it's kind of like, you know from the beginning that they're going to be good because you already saw the Cyberpunk video, and it's like, well, whoever made the rivers in Cyberpunk probably was responsible for doing the same in The Witcher. So, Pondsmith joke, yeah. So yeah, we're checking out games from the Discord today, and if this is the first time you've tuned into one of these, I do these every other Wednesday. The regular stream on Thursday is game, anyone can send their games. The difference about this one is because it's supporters and part of the Discord community where we hang out every day and ridicule each other's games and try and make them better. We get to see some games more than once. So the way I structured this stream is we look at the new stuff first. We're going to start with Breathing on the Beach because that's a short piece of interactive fiction, and we can kind of check that out in a couple of minutes. And then we'll work through the games that I've never seen before, and then we'll get onto the games that I have seen before. And because this is a recurrent stream with some of the same games, and we get to see how things have developed over time, which is quite nice. Compared to the Thursday streams where I can only really afford to look at a game once because there are so many in the queue. So let me just do that. Oh, that's cool. Let's make some games. That's good to hear. Okay, let's see if this works. We've got a short narrative piece done in Godot. I don't know how text heavy it's going to be. I'm not in a very... I've still got the tail end of a cold, so doing lots of reading aloud is not ideal, but we'll do our best. It's a lovely day. A well-equipped swimmer climbs ashore onto an empty sandy beach. They get their bearings and squeeze out the salt water from their ponytail. They notice several yards away a person in a t-shirt on their knees, coughing and gagging. Hey, are you okay? Ponytail swimmer quickly runs to check on them. This is a funny name. This is like a... Ponytail Swimmer is like a Metal Gear codename. What's wrong? There's something I'm doing wrong, right? There's something I'm not doing that I'm supposed to be doing. What do you mean? We're just on the beach. What are you supposed to be doing? Isn't it supposed to be hard to breathe? Huh? The air here is fine. Are you asthmatic? No, I came from underwater. You were breathing underwater? Yeah. How? With the straw. How long? Maybe 10 years? That's a mood. I don't know if any of you feel like you've been breathing underwater with a straw for 10 years, but I find that quite relatable. Why'd you even do that? I was really deep underwater and I kept trying to swim up, but things kept pulling me down. Somehow, I made it to the beach. Breathing feels easier, but there's got to be a catch, right? Is it poisonous if I breathe too much at once? No. Do I have to breathe faster than normal? Slower than normal? Dude. Is it the sun? Is something going to throw me into the sun? Dude. Ponytail swimmer puts their hands on t-shirt swimmer's shoulders. You came all the way from the bottom of the ocean. I never even thought of going down there. You know where I came from? Ponytail swimmer points to the horizon. I came from some island over there. I swam here over a few months, okay? Swam from an island? That's far. Yeah, you swam really far too, while not being able to breathe. I did? Yeah. And breathing is supposed to be easy. It was just so hard for so long. I know, but you're doing good now. You're doing great. Breathing and swimming underwater and being pulled back down for so long was really hard, wasn't it? Yeah. And you made it to the beach, right? Yeah. You did good. A realization dawns on the t-shirt swimmer. They start to cry. You made it. You did so good. The crying turns to loud sobbing. The well-equipped swimmer sits down beside them. A good cry can take a little while. Where are you headed next? I don't know why my camera feels the need to reload every time I switch, but I was just chuckling at Smugpire saying, oh, it's a metaphor. Yeah. Did you know that all indie games are about depression? I don't know, what about you? There's an island I'm trying to get to. I think it's somewhere east. I was hoping to find a map or get some directions, but no luck. So I guess I'll keep going. Sorry I can't help. Oh, it's fine. Is there anything you want to do now that you're on the beach? The beach is nice. Maybe I'll get some rest here, and then... I've always wanted to climb a mountain, but you should do it. I'm not sure I can do it. You can try. I bet you have to train, but no rush, right? I guess, yeah. How about that mountain over there? I bet there'll be other mountain climbers too. I'm sure someone will give you some pointers. Here, take this. Ponytail swimmer hands t-shirt swimmer a granola bar. It's okay, I'm not hungry right now. Save it for later then. You're doing alright now. Yeah, I think so. Alright, well, I better get going. See you around. Thanks. See you. T-shirt swimmer gets up and dusts themselves off and takes a deep breath of fresh air. They look back towards the ocean. The sun is shining, the sky is blue. The seagulls cry overhead. Turning away from the water, the t-shirt swimmer sets their sights on the nearby mountains. They take a step forward, foot sinking softly into the warm, dry sand. That's cool. That's neat, and it's basically the length it needs to be to get the point across. It's like this kind of just like fragment little parable thing about how to view certain situations, I guess. I liked that. I like the fact that we only got one moment where the character was in full color. I think if you wanted to like ease people's understanding a little bit, I would maybe color code the character names. I think that's a tiny UX thing in visual and kinetic novels that goes a very long way, to just have each character's name in a different color so that you can quickly kind of switch voices in your head. But yeah, that's neat. And I think the person who submitted it rightly said it's a kinetic novel rather than a game. So not something I would normally play on the Thursday streams, but very short and to the point. I liked that. That was neat. And I guess the fact that they're both swimmers, it's kind of like when you come out of a long period of being in a bad place, you need someone who has done similar things to you to be able to help you put those things in perspective. And that's why we get the transition from these characters being swimmers to one of them then becoming a mountain climber. It's like, you're done with your swimming now. It's not your whole identity. You can come out of the water, you can go on the mountain, you can go and do something else. So I really like the kind of clarity of the point that that's making, and that it does it in this, as someone in the chat said, quite absurdist kind of situation. It's kind of like a magical realism, absurdist type situation, which I think is quite a good setup for telling those kind of stories. the thing is, it primes the audience to know what kind of thing they're engaging with. If you have this slightly surreal situation of just two people in an odd situation talking, it immediately puts you in this kind of space of dreams and parables and looking for the meaning in a way that it might not if it was presented as a realistic situation, as like a realistic, like just domestic conversation between some people. Yeah, cool. I like it. It's good. That's all I have to say. Let's check out Gondo versus Stage Fright. What does this say? Do I need to know anything about how to play on this one? Yeah, lovely little game. Exactly to, like, straight to the point, really. I might even shorten the characters' names to just be called Ponytail and T-shirt, because then they sound more like names rather than descriptions. Okay, we're doing a typing game. I'm not good at speed typing. I'm still a hunt and peck kind of guy. Have a good meeting, Bernard. Bernhard, sorry. Type words when they enter the pink area. You don't have to press space to confirm the words. When you miss a word, you lose motivation. Purchase upgrades with the money you earn from shows and try to perform the one perfect show. Okay, we're doing speed typing. I believe there was some sort of Steam special category around this recently. I haven't played a typing game in a while. And as you know from recently, I struggled a bit with that stand-up game because of the speed typing. But let's give it a go. Yeah, I mean, the thing about not needing to press space immediately jumps out at me because we have a muscle memory. We have an established muscle memory about typing space when we type, right? So you might want to make sure that it's congruent with people's normal experience of typing fast, which is not like typing loads of words with no gaps, right? Gondo versus Stage Fright. Is Gondo supposed to be a singer?
I've been struggling on the stage.
Or a stand-up?
I know I have the skill, but the anxiety comes out of the blue and ruins everything. I need to perform one perfect show to gain my confidence back. Let's do this.
They say time's a healer, but then it's a weapon too. Words get highlighted when they are available for you to type. Type the words when they're in the pink section, otherwise they'll lose motivation for typing earlier. Okay. It already seems like an interesting setup. I like the fact that you can see the words ahead of time. It feels like there might be quite a broad skill range in this of, like, you know, when you're not focused very well, when you're feeling stressed, you're just focused on the word you're typing, and then other situations you're able to look ahead a little bit. So I think there's already quite a lot of promise in the setup here. I have slight PTSD about the Londrina font because this is the font we used on Amateur Surgeon 4. And so whenever I recognize it, I start to have Vietnam flashbacks from my first game dev job. If you fail to complete a word, you will lose motivation points depending on the length of the missing letters. You don't need to press space or type in punctuation marks. You can skip a word by pressing skip word key, space by default, or catch up with the song. Yeah, I could see how using space for that would catch people out if they're used to using space in a particular way, but let's see how I get on. Some nice music syncing with the...
Tell me once, that's all I need. You tell me what it really means to bleed. They say time's a healer.
It's a cool idea.
But then time's a weapon too. Shadows of yesterday are still surrounding.
like the singing face. The tuning on this. Do you have to have? So is there some digital tuning or digital detuning happening for the errors, or do you have to have? Do you have to have a separate vocal stem that is literally the singer going "Ah!" on each word? 'Cause it's so good. It sounds like what's the guy that does the Dirtman songs? The keep a little dirt under the. It sounds like a song written by him, but being sung by Brandon Boyd from Incubus. So good.
I suck. I suck. I suck.
We can get some therapy. Okay, we're gonna have some therapy. Brainoid. I mean, I feel like this is you singing, right? Based on what I've heard from before. And I love the fact that your sort of cheesier, kind of taking the piss slightly cheesy voice sounds so much like someone doing Brandon Boyd. It's so funny. Brainoid Games is our own community Mr. Bungle. Master of many genres. I thought I was hitting the letters right that time. Using space when you're behind. Okay. So I felt like I was typing some of those correctly, but the not using space. I think I might have crashed out there. I'm gonna close it and open it again. Yeah, some sort of bug there. It feels incredibly polished for a Game Jam game. Yeah, this is totally an Incubus song off of Crow Left of the Murder. It's not even just Incubus, it's a very specific era of Incubus. someday upon sunshine.
Hello, anxiety. Don't you
That's so good.
know
This weirdly, this is a silly game, but this kind of weirdly maps onto a thing I've been thinking about a lot. So on the Game Developers Library podcast, we're reading this book at the moment, which is like, I thought I was going to hate this book. I thought this was going to be the most profit-pilled business maxing book because it's called Up, Down, Up. It's basically why some game companies fail and why others don't. And it's based on a bunch of interviews with CEOs of different types of game companies. And in this book, it brings up this idea of the hedgehog concept, which I think I posted about in the Discord, which is like, if you imagine a hedgehog, the reason why hedgehogs persist is that they're just really well adapted to do a particular thing. So they don't have to be... So a fox tries to eat a hedgehog, and a fox has to try and be really cunning and has to know all these different things to operate as a fox. But a hedgehog just has to be spiky and really hard to eat, right? So the idea of a hedgehog concept is basically to think of, like, what is the thing that you are so well equipped to do that you can't fail at it? And in kind of practice, this looks like, okay, what do you care about? What are you passionate enough about to actually do and carry out? What is something you can actually be the best at the world in, right? Which just sounds like a weird, bizarre thing, but if you start to think of games less in terms of like, oh, what's out there? What are people making? And just in terms of like, what can I specifically make with my skill set? The things I know about in the world, the things I care about, my like aesthetic tastes and all of this. And what is the weird specific thing that someone might buy based on those things, right? That's kind of what the hedgehog concept is, really. It's a bit like Ikigai. And I think this is this is such a good idea. This is such a good example of a game that is like, this is such a Brainoid game that only Brainoid would make, right? And like you said a minute ago, you made 15 songs in 9 days, right? So someone else could have come up with the idea for this game, but it wouldn't necessarily have been someone who would have come up with 15 songs in 9 days, and for them to have this slightly silly lyrical quality that matches the tone of the game so well. Like, the thing that's quite good about Gondo versus Stage Fright is everything fits together tonally. And you've even got this weird mechanical bleed where, okay, the game is mechanically difficult in the sense that I have to type fast, right? But then there is also the fact that this absurdity of the lyrics is making me laugh as well. So we've got multiple vectors of humor being used as difficulty, right? And you see this in a lot of games where there is kind of an element of difficulty which isn't actually in your ability to respond to the game. It's in the noise of the game. So if you imagine bullet hells, for example, bullet hells are made sort of excessively difficult by the fact that you're being overwhelmed by how much information is on the screen. What's happening here is you have the baseline difficulty of typing fast, and then the fact that the singing goes out of pitch is funny, and that makes the game more difficult. The fact that the lyrics are ridiculous, like, Brandon Boyd Scattergree's lyrics, is funny, and that makes the game more difficult. And there is something very fun and like endearing about a game where the difficulty emerges from the fact that you can't stop laughing while you're trying to do the difficult thing, which is kind of something, why difficult game about climbing and things like that work, and why they're fun to watch other people doing as well. Like Trombone Hero has that quality as well, where it's just very funny to watch people fail. And I think a lesson anyone can take away from a game like this, if you're making a game that is very skill based and very based on failure and like failing all of the time, then thinking about how you make the failure fun, right? It's watching the person fall off their skateboard. It is watching the character get splatted on the spikes and the music suddenly comes to a stop. It's all of those moments. And I think so often people run into making a skill-based game and they think that the challenge and beating the challenge is inherently rewarding, but there's also something very satisfying about losing over and over and over again. And if you don't factor that in as a feature, as a thing that you should spend time and effort in, then your kind of skill-based difficult game isn't going to shine. And I think this is a really good example of that done well, because when it's going wrong, it is so funny. And it kind of it puts me in mind of something like where you're if you've ever played a game where you're controlling a ship and the ship is going down and there's like a prolonged sense for a while of the ship going down. You get this in a lot of co-op games. It was like it in Sea of Thieves. Guns of Icarus was another game that was like Sea of Thieves in airships. And there's this moment where you know that the ship is sinking and you've just got like a minute or so of going, this felt like that being very, very condensed. Because once you start being unable to type, maybe if I played it a bit longer and I mastered the word skip mechanic, it would be better because I would be able to recover. But when you first start playing this, you can't recover. And you just get this like 10 seconds of it going, it's just really funny. I like that a lot. Yeah, well done on completing that so quickly. Yes, Hades, good example. When you die, you get story progression. You get rewarded for death in some way. And that takes the sting off. And it just stops. Yeah, it's kind of an element of just respecting people's time, right? You don't, you make every outcome have something about it that is worthwhile, rather than like, punishing people for losing by nothing interesting happening, Let's check out Vitrified. We're doing big worms. Controller recommended. Okay, cool. Are we doing Risk of Rain 1 with worms? Is that... Excuse me, sir. Do you need a hand? He does look rather dead. Ah, you're alive. Do you need a hand? Like the Animalese, they're talking. This is really, really pretty. I just got out of that hole. Who doesn't want to go back in there? Very cool pixel art style. I like the way you've got the kind of very flat backdrop and then the high contrast of the sand in the foreground. Okay, I can pick up random plants. I don't know if anyone ever played Gods Will Be Watching. The art style feels similar to that. Okay, combat is all of the shoulder buttons. That feels like a good controller mapping because it gives you like a category of things in one place. So I've got kick. Huh, huh. I've got... Okay, so the back shoulder buttons on my attacks, kick and punch, and the front triggers are, or the front buttons are my sort of directional dodges. And they swap round depending on which way you're facing. Okay, I got hurt that time. But luckily I can pick whatever that is up off the ground. Yeah, the animations are really giving like flashback, Prince of Persia type thing. I think I got poisoned. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, going straight to just ambient wind sound is a interesting choice. You're right. It does make it feel really. If you've come straight from something with music. I'm always interested in when games choose not to have music and why. Like you'll notice with a lot of like MOBAs and stuff. I don't know about League, but I know Dota just has a series of stings because multiplayer games they don't really want to get music to get in the way of the gameplay, so they will put just stings at key moments, and it's almost more like the music choices are more like a game show, like a TV game show, you know. I'm picking stuff up. I cannot see an inventory or a way to access the stuff yet. Leak has music during gameplay. Oh, okay. So I can see that there is more level down there. Is this sort of pseudo 3D? Is the lighting underground done with 3D lighting, or I sort of wonder how this is built. I cannot understand how I'm meant to progress. I can't get up there. And there's nothing down here. Unless I'm supposed to just punch a mushroom. Am I supposed to talk to the robot? Is that what's going on? Am I interpreting this as an action platformer and actually I'm supposed to be talking to characters? Yeah, I want to noiter my way down. This is the whole game. You just keep dying in a hole and coming back. Sort of reminds me of Space Quest as well, the pixel art style. There's something about having pixel art characters where you never see like a close-up portrait of the face and stuff, and you have to just read into it. I find that really... You are most welcome. Okay, yeah, we're supposed to talk to the robot. Okay. Okay, we've got a hydration meter, and we've got an inventory. Up to drink. I think the other thing might be food. Oh no! Poor bugger ran out of power. Here we go. Now I've got food, so I eat the food. That gives me health back. Okay. So we've got a hydration meter and a food meter. We do some Dark Souls. Come back up here. Can I jump? Oh, here we go. Yeah, so if you haven't triggered the dialogue earlier, then this doesn't happen. maybe I can do something with a rock? Nope. Rock is not friend. Oh, I powered him up. That's nice. Well, speaking of that, will you, Oh, I've got a robot friend. Alan. This is nice. We don't have too much dialogue. The dialogue is relatively sparse. Pressing Y highlights some stuff and allows me to choose what I want to do what with. Oh, I can order him to do stuff. Oh, this is cool. Okay. Help me. And in the sparse dialogue we've got some characterization, right? The human is a bit foul-mouthed and sweared. The robot says things like splendid and far from pleasant. So we're getting a bit of kind of C-3PO sort of camp posher feet robot stuff here. It's like #1 screenwriting rule. If you have two characters and you can't cross out the names on the script and tell which character is speaking based on the way they speak, then you don't have characters, you just have words on a page. If you're going to put dialogue in your games, you really need to kind of do characterization. This has really solid characterization with very little dialogue. Can you do something robot-y to them? Can I get water out of any of these plants? I'm gonna have a little slurp. Oh no, let's go this way. Let's go this way. Come this way. So whenever you see that kind of reticule come up, that is me issuing a command to the other character. That's pretty cool. I like what I'm seeing so far with this. What are these? These in-webbed bugs? Ah. Can I fill my water up here? We appear to have a thing of water. I don't know if I can do anything with it. Ah, some food. Oh yeah, okay. I really like this. It's reminding me a lot of Another World, which I think was released as Out of This World in some countries. It had that kind of rotoscoped art style that Prince of Persia had, but you had a sort of relationship with this alien buddy that you made during the game, and they didn't speak, they just showed up and helped you. But this is like that with a little bit more mechanical crunch of actually having to control the other character. I've got some inventory gadgets up at the top left. I don't know what they are yet. So, those of you who are patrons will know I put an essay up on the Patreon yesterday, which is basically the script for an upcoming video essay, and I was talking about design pillars a little bit in that. And one of the examples that always comes up is God of War, where you've got two mechanical pillars of combat and exploration, and then you have one thematic pillar of the father and son relationship. And that game feels quite tight because every design decision links those things together. And I could see this having a similar thing with because you've got the human-robot relationship as the kind of unique thematic and mechanical thing in the game. It feels like a good guiding thing to build the whole game around, because it not only is it cool and appealing to be a person with a little robot friend, but it also just means that as you're developing this, you can just make sure that everything in the game is some expression of that. You know, maybe we lose our robot friend at some point and it's really upsetting. Maybe at some point we, you know, learn about different interactions we can do that aren't just getting it to fight for us or help us climb up something. But because you've settled on that as as the narrative theme of the game, you can now kind of make sure all of the mechanics kind of go around that, which is neat. There's a lot to be said for like prototyping without a theme, but I think sometimes when you hit a point where you really need to lock in the theme and the fantasy, and once you do that, if you've got solid core mechanics and you've got a central theme or fantasy, it makes the whole thing easier to develop. Just wailing on alien bugs with my robot friend. That's a very big one of them. Uh-oh. I don't have any, like, shake to get free type stuff there. The upscaled pixel art feels a bit jank on that larger bug. I would look at that in the long run. I don't think it matters at this stage, but I definitely think that's something to fix in the long run, because it does make it look a little bit cheap. And we're not doing, you know, we're doing atmosphere and world building here. We're not doing like a Vampire Survivors kind of goofy casino game type thing. So I think it's harder to get away with that kind of. So much of this already looks quite polished. What are you doing, robot friend? Is there a way of just avoiding going in the giant spider hole? I'd rather not engage with giant spiders if I can avoid it. There'll be some entomologists in the chat just like... Actually, larger hunting spiders tend not to have webs. Actually. Tarantulas don't make webs. It's okay, these are space tarantulas. They can do whatever the hell they want. That's the whole point of sci-fi. So, in terms of the long-term sort of shelf life of this game, and where to go, what I would prioritize... If this was my game, what I would prioritize next is trying to show the player that there is a different type of interaction. Probably before this point, so I don't know how long I've been playing this, like 10 minutes or something. We've done the robot helps you climb. We've done you help the robot by charging it up. And we've done the robot helps you fight. But at this stage, it feels like a beat 'em up. It feels like it's going to be very focused on fighting together. And I don't know, maybe I would just want to tease some other sort of mechanic at this stage, because it feels like it's going in a direction where it's all going to be about fighting. Stuck on the ladder a little bit there. And that's just a thing that happens when you're kind of, as you build up your palette of game mechanics and things you can do in your game, sometimes you have to like go back to the early parts of the game and backfill them so that the game doesn't seem to be about one thing when it's about something else. That's neat. I like that. We've got the big worm showpiece on the Steam page. That's set piece even. That's cool. I would. The only thing I would say about this whole presentation is this typeface. It kind of works okay on the Steam page, but in the trailer, it's quite jarring to go between that and the pixel art. And it's not even the fact that the text isn't pixel art, because you can get away with mixing pixel art game with like vector text. It's the fact that the text is almost like this kind of, it's not vector text, is it? It's like kind of like a raster with all this scratchy extra texture. I think if you're going down that route of making it all textured and broken, then that's kind of a case for having it in the same pixel art as the game. Otherwise, I would just have very stark block characters that look like the text you would expect in that type of sci-fi. So what does the Dune lettering look like is there any lettering in the film in Dune? It's only the title of the film, but yeah, just something a bit more stark would probably work a bit better in that trailer. Let's check out Chair Champions. We haven't checked it out for a while, but it has been in the stream multiple times because this is a kind of forever in development game. I always struggle a little bit with this because I'm not the best at racing games in general, and I find top-down racing quite difficult because you can't look ahead very much, but there's been a lot of iteration on this in terms of how the cameras work. So we've got a new adaptive AI for the characters. The chairs have more differences between each other. We've got a Halloween seasonal thing as well. I might just have to download it though because it's not. Thank you, Chris. Just download Chair Champions because doesn't seem to be loading in browser, or maybe it's just really big. The line is moving. Department of Gravity Management. Am I playing the playtest or the demo? What's the? There's both. Let me just have a look at our spreadsheet for that. Oh yeah, okay. We're looking at the playtest version. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to jump into Department of Gravity Management while those load, because that's kind of our quickest path to playing something. Oh no, that's still installing as well. Okay. Right, sorry for the delay there. We've got Chair Champions now though, so... I'm just going to do one race, I think, because I don't know how much we can gain from this in terms of feedback. I feel like, you know, we've seen this so many times, it tends to be more just like showing the game off than anything super actionable, but I'm loving the Halloween chiptunes though. Okay, we're racing against the AI. I'm gonna put it on normal. We've lost the screen share, sorry about that, hang on. What is going on? Let me just swap my captures round. Is that gonna work? There we go. Look at all the lovely pumpkins. I think you can only choose Pumpkin Man when it's Halloween. We'll do one long race. We'll do one long race today. Because I haven't played this in a couple of months. Right, we're going to do 7 rounds on medium difficulty. Which chair is the most Halloween-y? I'll just go for the generic one. Make it a fair test. Basically have to lean really far back to be able to see the game. The characters are so large on and I know this is because I'm playing at a PC, but the characters are just so large on the screen for what the game is. If this was my game, I would zoom the camera out like 100%. I would show twice as much of the level that we're currently showing. I understand that there's a level of difficulty that comes from not being able to see what's ahead, and maybe that's a deliberate decision that we want to not be able to see too far ahead because that's where some of the difficulty comes from, but it's just not as fun not being able to see and plan. I've lost my chair, it's gone entirely. I'm just walking now. I've lost my chair entirely and it's allowing me to just walk away from it and just do a walking race. Is there anywhere I can get my chair back if I walk away from it, or is it just going to be somewhere when I come back around the track? It's okay, guys. I've got no chair, but don't worry about that. Okay, I got my chair back. I've got something wrong with my chair and I don't know why it happened. There's a big spider. I like the Halloween spider. I think there are just too many kind of punitive choices here. All of the things that can like hurt you and knock you off are really fun, but the camera being so close in just doesn't give you enough context to really kind of react or plan ahead. I think sometimes people put cameras really close in games because they want people to be able to see the art. But I can't really see the art because it's too close. I'm in 6th position. I'm not going to catch back up because I did an entire lap with no chair. I'm guessing not crossing the road is probably a good idea. Although these cars are deliberately trying to murder me, which is not very nice of them. Yeah, I think the way that this is being developed at the moment is like, it's like, I love the fact that we're getting all these little content updates, but I think there are some bigger sweeping changes with the games that would make a massive difference, and I think zooming the camera out loads would be the biggest quality of life change you could make to this game that would just make it so much more, not just accessible, but more interesting to play. Because at the moment, any given moment of time, really what I'm doing is just responding to this tiny slither of what's on screen and trying to react to it. Whereas if I could see further ahead, I would have my attention split between looking at what's close to me and what's on the ground and what I need to dodge in front of me versus looking ahead and planning, right? That would give me a moment-to-moment decision about what I should put my attention on. Which is what you need, it's what you need in a reaction-based game. You can't just have, like, what button do I press next, what do I avoid next, and that's all there is. This is such a big, rich game with loads of little things in it and, like, different maps and stuff, but the maps kind of lose meaning as being different maps if we can only see such a tiny, tiny bit of them at any one time. I really, really think pulling the camera out so we can see twice as much stuff is going to vastly improve this game at a kind of fundamental level. I mean, there's also just challenges with this type of game anyway, where I think the thing about racing games is that they are fundamentally... People just have the expectation that this is a multiplayer game, and I think this is, but it's hard to gauge unless I'm... Basically, this is like a beer and pretzels game, right? And it's very hard to gauge it in the context of just playing it as a single-player game. The last time I really played anything that was like a PC-first indie racing game that really caught me was something like Speedrunners, which was like a racing platformer that was a cross between sort of Smash Brothers and Mario Kart. And that worked really, really well at events as like an icebreaker game. If you had a big screen projector and everyone playing Speedrunners together, that was a really, really good game for that kind of event, because it was a sort of couch beer and pretzels type game. I think if you make one of those games and then it has a single player mode, the best way to structure the game is for the single player mode to be like how you unlock things for the multiplayer mode. Because most people that are really into these sorts of games will want to play them with their buddies. The single player mode sort of loses its value. But if you make the single player mode the way that you unlock kind of characters and items for the multiplayer, then that's a pretty good combination, I think. Yeah, the lack of momentum is like, I mean, some of that is just because I suck, because I'm not very good at... There's lots of things that slow you down on the ground, and you really have to pay attention to avoid them to stop losing momentum. But again, a lot of that is because I just can't see far ahead enough, so I can't see what's coming up and plan. So I want to do a test, actually. Let's do a test. So I'm here, and let's test how long it takes for me to get... So if there's the end of the corridor here, right? And then the next decision point when I decide where to turn is here. Okay, so if I'm here, how long does it take for me to see that next decision point if I'm moving right? It's like 1 Mississippi 2. It's like I've got like 1.5 seconds until I hit the point where I need to make my next decision about which direction to go in. Let's go and look at like micro machines or something and compare that in terms of how long you get until like everything goes off screen and you need to kind of reevaluate what you're doing, because it just feels too tight in terms of it feels like you've got this massive map and a cool racetrack and everything, but then the thing you're actually asking players to do, because of the camera position, just ends up being Flappy Bird, because it's just respond to the next thing immediately in front of you. Let's look at... So let's look at SNES micro machines, and then we'll look at the PlayStation 1 one. So it's so close on the SNES, right? Like, I look at this and I just think, and this is a really good example of where if you're making a game in an old genre, you need to address the problems with it, right? So for me, this is so close, and it ends up being such a tight reaction game. But at least this has the momentum that someone in the chat was just saying that the chair game. Oh, okay. I haven't swapped the. Sorry, I swapped the display capture back over. Yeah, that's understandable as well, John. So look, the SNES Micro Machines, it is so close. But I guess the difference here is you've got quite a smooth circuit. There aren't things in the circuit to go around, so you get a slightly different feeling. But and then let's look at the next one. Let's look at the PlayStation one. I think this has a camera that zooms out the faster you go. I can't remember. It's still quite tight, isn't it? It might be because we're not playing with multiple on the same screen, but... I think the difference with Chair Champions, though, is there's so many things to react to that are very tightly crammed into the track. Yeah, that is the big difference, isn't it? It's like, these are... Although Micro Machines has this goofy theme, it is still fundamentally just a racetrack. It doesn't have, like, stuff littering the racetrack that you have to respond to and dodge. So what they did with Micro Machines was very much just a traditional race. I mean, you can fall off the track, I guess. But you don't lose momentum because you're not dodging things all the time. Whereas in Chair Champions, we're dodging things all of the time, and the camera is probably slightly closer than this. I don't know. I guess... It's a difficult one. It's really, really difficult to kind of gauge, but I just... Yeah, I don't feel like Chair Champions ever gets to the point where I'm enjoying racing. And I think... I don't know a better way of putting it, really. There's no point where I'm going, like, really fast and going, whee! Right? So all of the little things that are in our way to block us, they're not stopping me from having fun, because there's no point where I'm going fast enough and moving smoothly enough to feel like I'm having a type of fun that can be stopped, right? And it feels like there's this very narrow window where when you are actually doing well and dodging everything and getting the pickups and stuff, it feels more like you're playing one of those like electronic buzzer hook games rather than a racing game. Because there's no sort of adrenaline high, speeding along, not hitting anything, speeding along, careening around. Because everything is so tightly zoomed in and filled with things to dodge. And you're going around them at right angles and stuff like that. Maybe Micro Machines isn't the right reference point, but I think maybe there's fundamental stuff with Chair Champions where it just doesn't capture what I think most people want to experience when they play a racing game, which is to have reasonably long periods of zooming along, going fast. Yeah, no, you know, I think we've talked about this game has been on stream like 4 or 5 times now, I think, maybe 3 or 4 times. And Kong in the chat just said, maybe the creator intended to be a memorization kind of game. Like you need to figure out the optimal path through the clutter and the power-ups. And that's fine. But you always have to think about how the skill the game is testing and the expectations of players when they come to the genre or when they come to the particular fantasy. And the fantasy of racing is going fast, right? Not doing this kind of memory puzzle, I guess. It's a difficult one. There's so much about this game that I really want to commend as a project. I really like the way Buckethead works on this. I really like the fact that we've just got, you know, endless updates and submitting it to these feedback quest things and everything. Like, I can't commend... I was saying Buckethead, Bucketful, sorry. I cannot commend the developer more for how they're developing this game. But I think returning to what do people want when they play a racing game and rethinking some of the core design decisions based around that would be quite helpful. And what I'm saying might sound super negative, but I think having a game in this state is a very strong position to be in. When you've got a game that is like loads and loads of parts and someone is telling you, I like all these parts, but you need to move them around and arrange them differently. And I'm not talking about physically moving the level around. I'm talking about taking all the elements of the game, the features, the way the cameras and controls work, and just stepping back from the game, not doing hands-on development and thinking, what do people want out of a racing game? And then come back to it and make some sweeping changes based on what do people want out of a racing game. That's a good position to be in because you've already got all the parts. You just need to change some numbers, you know, move some stuff around in levels. Those are not hard things to do. You're not making things from scratch. You're just rearranging the parts to serve a different end. And yeah, it just doesn't always feel very clear what the type of fun I'm supposed to be getting out of this game is, because it's not the types of fun I would associate with racing. And even in speedrunning games like Blood Thief or literally the game Speedrunners, which I'm going to show you now for people that don't know what Speedrunners is. It's quite old now, so... Even in those games, you are kind of memorizing the level, and that is part of the fun. But you still get up to speed. You still get moments where you're really whooshing around, and you get this like fun feeling of just like going really fast. And I just feel like Chair Champions never hits that point where you just feel like you're getting zoomies.
We are talking about speedrunning.
Yeah, you probably could fix a lot of it in level design just by, like, if you want this feeling of the world being cluttered and there being lots of things to dodge, instead of putting the stuff in the middle of the track, just put it around the edges. So you still have the sense of like a traditional raceway where there's a golden path down the middle and you never break the golden path. But if you want to have like water on the floor and desk equipment and stuff, just make it so that sometimes that creates bottlenecks in the path where the path becomes smaller. And then people can still approach it like a traditional racing game. This is what Speedrunners was. And, like, yeah, this is a memorization game where you learn the level and then you go faster because you learn the level. But you still get this lovely flow once you know areas of the level where you're kind of swinging and zooming and it feels really, really good. And I've played Chair Champions enough times now where I just don't ever feel like I'm doing the zoomies. And even when you're having a bad run, there should be a section of the map where you just start... It's almost like you're on autopilot, but I think it's just so crammed with obstacles. Like Sean just said in the chat, the hazards are constant. They're all the way around the track, and maybe addressing some of that by maybe it's not a camera issue. Maybe it is a level design issue of just the levels are just so chock full of stuff blocking the middle of the track that you can never golden path your way through. So I would be tempted to clear a lot of the clutter, move lots of the clutter to the side so that you would just occasionally have these moments where it bottlenecks, and then maybe have like 3 points in the level where you allow yourself to put stuff in the middle of the track, but just not all the way around, because at the moment it's just all the way around, and my memory of the other tracks is it's kind of like that all the time, and it's such a funny idea. It's really cute. It's a funny idea for people to be racing on office chairs. I just want it to feel better. I want it to feel good enough to be a good racing game, even if you take away like the cute art and the funny idea. And in order for it to do that, it just needs to function better as a racing game at the core. We are going to do... What have we got? Have we got Legion Logistics and the Gravity Management Department, or whatever it's called? Let's check out Legion Logistics first. Trevor, my drone's called Trevor. So this was one of the games that came out of Collab Jam. We are basically working in... Sorry. I'm going to go and blow my nose. I'll be right back. Sorry, the germs are kicking my ass. They have been for a week. We're on the mend. Okay, so this was a game that we got out of the Collab Jam back in April. You are in a sort of sci-fi Amazon warehouse, and you're sorting boxes that come through and like pinging them into the right thing. I don't know what's been added since then. I think I've seen some little updates. This is pretty much the art style that was settled on at the beginning. It's kind of makes me think a little bit of sort of 60s Hanna-Barbera type cartoons. And I think this game is really testament to how quickly you can advance on a game and how locked in you can get if you nail a core mechanic that is just fun to interact with and an art style and a theme very early on. It just, you know, the thing makes itself. Obviously it doesn't make itself, but you know, compared to just spinning your wheels on endlessly iterating on lots of different game parts for... Okay, I'm not going to do the tutorial, I'm just going to try it. Okay, so pressing space zooms me towards the mouse. I pick stuff up with right click and then I launch it with left click. And I put things in the wrong thing. And I cry because I got it wrong. And I think I can click and hold to zoomy things. And some of these things need to be put into the identification machine, I think. Uh-oh. Don't understand where the error is coming from. I think I should have played the tutorial. I think there's an overheating mechanic when I shoot too hard. Let's see if I can get a... Let's do the tutorial just so I'm not missing anything. Approach the broken chutes at the back of the room until you're within repair range. I think the all caps pixel font is a little bit difficult to read. I get that we're going for digital, but we don't have a pixel art style game, and I think there is another... I think there's another route you can go down if you want something to feel like a computer, but you want it to match this sort of hand-drawn art style a little bit more. That's exactly what Sean just said, yeah. I think all caps is always a difficult choice. When you're doing like instructional text, it just makes it really slow and difficult for people to read. Pixel fonts, also slow and difficult to read. Combining them, it's just not the best choice. I would try and find something that gives you that kind of it's a computer talking vibe, but isn't an all caps pixel font. That's a difficult sell. You might still have to do pixel all or all caps, but both of them together, it's just a bad marriage of UX problems. For me, it's not even the fact that it doesn't stylistically fit, although it doesn't really. It's like that chunky paper cutout type font that we get there fits the art style because it looks like a sort of, again, 1960s sort of intro animation, like a Saul Bass or something. So it fits with this cartoon style. So I need to fix that now. There's lots of things to sort of pay attention to in this game. So I'm liking the, again, things competing for your attention. That is how you make a kind of reactions and skill-based game interesting. It's not just like a series of, can you do this? Now can you do this? Now can you do this? If you look at Keith Begun's... Keith Begun is like an online game design guy, theorist, and he has this like taxonomy of when is it a toy, when is it a puzzle, when is it a game, when is it a challenge. And in Begun's taxonomy, something like a dance mat game or a Guitar Hero isn't really a game, because it's just a series of like, can you do this? Can you do this? You never really make a decision about what to do. And the good thing about a game like this is, okay, you are doing a very simple action game, but when it's going full hog, you have a lot of situations on the screen to deal with. So instead of it just being, can you do this in order, it is looking at the things you're being asked to do and prioritizing which is the most urgent at any given time, which is also why games like Overcooked and stuff like that work. They just give you a set of operations you need to do that are actually very simple, but then overwhelm you with decisions about which one to prioritize. And I think this is a game that is very much sort of built around that principle. So, okay. I think the only thing that is new from the demo of this is the fixing things, but we'll see. We'll see if there's anything else in the tutorial. Yeah, plate spinner is a good way of thinking about it, I think. And when you include things like physical travel over a space, like the player or the team are, you know, if they're not thinking clearly or the team is not collaborating well, then they're wasting time by just running around backwards and forwards and not efficiently using the time it takes to travel, which again is what Overcooked is all about, really. It's about, like, you can do all of the things. The thing you're being asked to do isn't difficult, but it's about the efficiency play of what order do you do the things in and how much time do you waste by backtracking when you should have done those. You should have, like, you know, cached those two things and done them together before you did that thing and stuff like that. Okay, so if the parcels come damaged, we have to fix them. I'm guessing that is the thing over on the right-hand side with the... Okay, so that's for fixing them. It didn't get me to do that in the tutorial, but let's try a proper run now. Switching between the left and right click is very it takes a little bit of a knack. I don't think it's bad. I just think it takes, there's a learning curve to the way that this game controls. It's like you can do everything by just pick and place, but then you end up in a position of, like, having all this mess to deal with. I think it was Jin on the essay I put up yesterday. I was asking people what their 15th form of fun would be if they were going to add a new type of fun to the 14 forms of fun, and she said tidying up, tidying a thing up, which I guess is a type of beauty, right? But I think that is a very common form of fun in a game. It's like clearing a lot of mess from an area. It's not an exciting sounding one, and I think that's why people don't explicitly say, "Oh yeah, this is a game about that." But it is something that people find fun. We've got some upgrades. Okay, we've got an interface where we use the same thing to. Okay, twice as much cash for blue boxes. That sounds like a good incentive. So now I've got an incentive to prioritize the blue boxes because they earn twice as much money. I need to stop overcharging my throw. Sometimes it feels a little bit unforgiving with the drop off when it gets close to stuff and doesn't quite go in. And it is kind of... Oh. Did I run out of energy again? Okay, this is my quota for the week, though. I've got to get 300, and we're on the 3rd day. Faster drone. Pick up things further away. Double cash for yellow boxes. I'm just going to go with all the cash upgrades. So basically, red boxes are trash now. We don't care about red boxes. We care about yellow and blue boxes. Yeah, big fan of the robot. Very good, simple design with a lot of character. Trying not to misjudge the overcharge on the throw is really difficult. I would maybe have a little bit more feedback when it's about to go into the red. When the... Because basically the throw goes green, 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 red. And then it's like... When you've done that bit where you go into the overcharge mode and you've like damaged yourself or wasted energy or whatever is supposed to be happening, it's like you don't really get that... I want like a third of a second before we hit red where the game gives me some danger feedback, right? Like the bar goes yellow or orange and there's a little bit of shake or something, a little bit of a... just so that we have a split second to respond before that bar goes into the red. Because I don't feel like I'm learning the length of that bar, because there's not really anything there to teach me except the fail state. There's not a you're almost in the fail state warning. I think it would benefit from that. An extra catch for every box sorted. Drone moves faster. Decreased shot charge time. Is that going to mess me up if I go for that? I'm going to try it just because it sounds like it changes the mechanics and I want to see what it's like. Knocking the boxes into each other to get them in just feels so good. Okay, you can put multiple things in a machine as well, which is not something I realised, and I've been sort of failing because of that. I didn't realise that. That's okay, that's an okay thing for someone to learn a little bit further in. It's okay to leave some things out and for people to have oh moments, as long as it's not core to like, can you even get past one level? Okay, we're on Friday. We've nearly met the quota. Let's go for boxes get fixed faster. So the upgrades feel meaningful as well. They feel like you can put a little bit of thought into picking them, which is good. Incentive reserve account. Ah, permanent. Okay. So if we overperform, we get permanent upgrades, which I guess don't last until the next... normally the upgrades don't last into the next week. They reset at the end of the week, but these ones are. So that's cool. So we've got degrees of success. Right, the game isn't super hard to succeed at, but if you over-succeed, then the game is going to reward you more. And I think that is a really good model to use if you want to make a game accessible. You know, make it easy enough that the lose state is quite difficult. You're not dying all the time or whatever. But then incentivize success by making it more rewarding to do better. We're only going to do... I think we're only going to pass by a little amount this time. I still haven't played Little to the Left. I probably like it. I loved unpacking. The other one that I've never got around to is Walmart's Warehouse. Yeah. The thing I think the thing that's really interesting about this game, or what this game reveals, is you can have a game theme and then have a central mechanic that is not obviously what you would think to use for that theme. Because if you think of like the theme of, you know, working in a factory sorting boxes, you would not immediately jump to a shooting mechanic, right? Or like a aiming and setting power type shooting mechanic. But it works really, really well. And sometimes you can include a physical mechanic that doesn't necessarily isn't the obvious choice for the theme you're doing. Oh, fragile parcels cannot be thrown. Okay. Explosive parcels cannot be held too long. Oh, scary parcel types. Okay, so that's a red. Okay, that was an explosive, so that was one we were supposed to throw and not hold for too long. That's fragile, so we can't throw that. You can also do this. You push stuff back along the conveyor belt. Doesn't really work, just ends up all over the place. Yeah, I'm not having fun with the explosive ones yet. I haven't quite worked out the knack for that. And it looks like boxes can get double broken as well. They have two broken states, and when they get blown up, they get even more blown up. Let's just go for faster drone. We didn't get that last time. I think sometimes when you're very close and you just try and put something directly into it, into the thing, it's not always very responsive. I lost lots of money that time. Thank you everyone in the chat who is giving helpful feedback. I think there's lots of helpful feedback, specifically on the feedback in this game. Because there's so much about the game feel that is just right. A lot of it comes down to very small things, but I do think sometimes when you just let go of a box and you place it rather than throw it, it doesn't quite clock that it should be going into a machine, and I think those are sort of instances where it's worth just letting the game default to what the player thinks should happen rather than, you know, I think sometimes things don't go into machine because they don't have any speed, they're just placed, and I think if you're over the machine and you just drop something, it should just register as going in the machine. Let's get extra cash for red boxes. I really like using the same control schema to select the incentive. It feels nice, and it gives you a little break from being on this screen as well. Yeah, I'm just not... Sometimes I'm too far inside the circle, which is a bit confusing when you've been told not to... when you've been told not to throw certain boxes, to, you know, for it to then be like, oh no, you're too close now. Gotta throw it. Oh, those are so unforgiving, those explosive ones. Just how much damage they do to everything else in the level is really, really punitive. It's fun conceptually, but I think I'm getting a few too many of them as the mechanic is introduced. Like, I think the way the mechanic works is fine, but I would make it like one per day at the start while people are getting used to dealing with them. At the same time, if you don't get them very often, you don't learn how to deal with them, but... I'm going to get the overtime upgrade because there's no way I'm going to survive this week if I don't get an extra day. So hard. Increase the value of repaired boxes. Sure. Giving us lots of repaired boxes, finally. I mean, not finally, but we've got an incentive to repair things now. Ah! Breaking stuff you've just repaired is the worst. I think a lot of the losses for doing something wrong in this game are just way too punitive. I would be thinking about bringing all of these down to about a third of where they are now. You know, if you lose $5, make it $1. If you lose $10, make it $3. Because the sort of treadmill sensation of hitting a point where you're in that situation and every bit of money you get is immediately being lost is awful. And it just feels like you can't recover from it in any meaningful way. And then putting that in a situation where you're playing for 5 days, I just restarted because I was unhappy with that situation. I think the Papers, Please Remember All the Details thing actually works very well as a way for this game to do kind of advancement and increasing difficulty, but I do think the punitive elements of like you're losing score for doing this, that and the other should just be way smaller. Because otherwise you're kind of double punishing. You're losing the money that you need to win, and you're also losing the ability to get... Oh no, you don't spend the money on upgrades, do you? So it's not affecting that like in the economy. So you don't have to worry so much about that. Like if a box goes along the conveyor belt and doesn't get delivered, I wouldn't penalize people for that because they've already been penalized by losing the opportunity to make the money. You know? If you send a mystery box, I think it judges it based on whether you got the right thing out of 3. Yeah, classic. That's what we call designeritis. It's when you can't judge your own game because it's your game. And that often comes down to difficulty. Okay, I'm going to finish this week and then we'll move on to the last game. I like having extra cash for a box color because it helps me narrow down what to focus on at any given moment. So we're going to have more lucrative blue boxes now. didn't get the last blue box. Yeah, I mean, there's the playtesting thing. There's nothing wrong with your players like completely fluffing it the first time, but if everyone is doing that, that's the problem. Or if someone is playing it and not getting better, because that means the game doesn't teach itself very well. And that's the reason for, like, you know, earlier when I said when you've got the mechanic of like overheating the bar, if you don't have a warning on that, the game doesn't have as many tools to teach the player how to get better at it. And that's kind of what you're looking for. It's not necessarily do players do well at the game the first time they play it, it's what's the difference between the first time they play it and the third time they play it? Do they get better? I feel like I am getting better at this, but there are a few little tweaky things to do with that bar and like the how punitive the scoring is, and the fact that you can't just drop things onto the graphic of a thing and it registers. It feels very restrictive about, like, it really wants you to shoot the boxes directly into where the door is on the graphic, which is not really something that is suggested by the kind of cartoony art style. That it would be that kind of strict and sort of simulationist, I guess. Let's try that one. My robot is all out of juice. I'm gonna end it there. I really like that. I think it's going well. It feels like a format that you can quite easily adapt by adding different box types and machines and stuff like that in if you wanted to make it bigger. Having things come through on the conveyor belt that shouldn't be there at all and just need to go into a trash can or something like that, you know. Yeah, neat. It's going good. Right, so Department of Gravity Management is our sort of similar to Portal, it says, which is exactly what I was going to say. We're doing physicsy, puzzly, FPS-y stuff. Hello! I hope you had a nice rest in your relativistic status unit. Welcome to Newtonian Mining Station 1453. I am the Artificial Regional Manager overseeing Newtonium deliveries. Okay. You can call me Armand. We've got some like sound effects on switches and stuff where it'd be good to have something in place for that now. I know you're familiar with Newtonian refinement, so I'll try not to bore you with explanations. Since the accident, we've been behind on our quotas. Here's your gravity wrench so we can get started. It's got a little zap. Can't do the switch with it. Should be able to do the switch with it, surely. Press spacebar to jump. Press it again while in the air to double jump. Okay. A classic maneuver. Use the left mouse button to fire at the blue gravity panel to activate its gravity. Gravity shifts when you walk into the gravity field. Okay. Oh, that's really cool. You can't fire through glass. Okay. Press Q to toggle gravity mode to ignore gravity. Okay, so we can leave the gravity on and then... Oh. It's already hurting my brain a little bit, which is kind of what we want in this type of game. Your predecessor liked to use the gravity panels to get around before the accident. Seems like a waste of Newtonium that could be shipped out. Oh yeah, this has definitely got new stuff that I... since I last played it. I think the little bar that comes across is a little bit confusing at first because it looks like it's creating some sort of wall along there that isn't really relevant. So you're just always, you're highlighting where you're going to fall to basically when you're in a position for that to become the ground. So I can walk onto there. Oh. I've got a box to put somewhere. Maybe I need to walk up the next bit. We're getting some really good kind of puzzly level design here. I'm pretty... It's a difficult thing to judge generally, so I'm not gonna pretend to know how to judge a level in a game like this. But one of the things I will say is I can't see where I'm supposed to be taking the thing. Ah, there we go. Okay, cool. Button pressed. So you've got some good helper stuff here. We've got the cable that allows us to see what the button triggers. So from now on, I'm going to be looking for these cables because they tell me something about the puzzle. And because we have this reasonably sort of abstract environment that is very, very square, having that more flowy element draws the attention more because it doesn't fit in a good way, right? Yeah. Oh. Keep not knowing. I keep losing track of where the actual gravity is going to be if I deactivate it. Ah. It is all. We're going to take the lockers with us. I think having all this text in red does make it look a little bit cheap. Like that's okay, because that's like a branded thing, but this is like, why is it all red? It's like we're trying to get people's attention by using red, but then it's all red, so the red kind of becomes meaningless. Are these the sleepy pods in the break room? You are not alone. You can bear this weight together. I love the fact that this simple desk has all these sci-fi greebles on the back of it. Yeah, we do need to start getting some of these interaction sounds in when we're bumping and interacting with blocks and stuff, I think, because it's a pretty core thing that you're doing quite often. Where are we going now? Okay, so the big round archy bit is the bottom. Oh no, is it completely round level? That's the thing I find most disorienting, is when I'm in the false gravity, knowing where I'm going to fall if I disable it. Because there's so much in the level to confuse me about that, and I guess that's kind of the point. I think a lot of this comes down to like how much do you want to confuse people about particular things. Because you could have a rule where it's like, oh, the way you're going to fall has the light grey surface, and the underneath of these platforms has a dark grey surface, and the top of them has a light grey surface, you know? But I don't know how much of that is like being obscured for, you know, on purpose because the gameplay needs it. So get onto this panel, and then I'm kind of scared to walk off of it because I can't tell which way the normal gravity would go. Is it going that way where the arrows point on the chevron? Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it would go down that way. I'm supposed to go over here and then fall down there. Okay. I think I get it. And then there's a switch over here, which is the end of that level. Cool. Yeah, I think a lot of this game is going to be working out like which things do you want to be confusing, right? What is signal and what is noise? See, this has this purple feature around the top, so that's kind of a guiding thing. We use gravity manuals to guide Newtonian boxes to the reactors. You've done a good job here as well of making the box puzzle have a narrative design reason. Okay, so that's all the boxes coming out. I turn that on. Oh, fantastic. That's really satisfying. Okay. That's really cool. That's a neat little thing. See an actual level now. Box are coming out. Pull them over there, then over there, and then over there. And that just creates a chain of boxes flowing. This is how we do things here at the Gravity Factory. Sometimes I wish I could become a box myself, so I jump in the machine. And then this happens. And then I have to shut down the machine and go home. You've got a good set of toys here to build puzzles out of. It's feeling pretty great. These are fun. I think everything that is shown in these images, like the little slogans and stuff, is fun. I would do a little bit of a pass on the graphic design. Some of it is just the text is kind of going too far up to the corners and stuff like that. But I mean, if you can find someone that designs this kind of stuff and get them to just go through the game and do a pass for you, you will increase it. You will improve it like tenfold. Because when you're doing this kind of storytelling, this kind of fake corporate thing, there's a very thin line between doing it in a way that's effective and doing it in a way that just kind of feels cheap because, oh, that was what Portal did, so we kind of copied it a little bit. You can make the game feel way more deluxe by just upgrading all of these little posters and corporate elements, because the art style you've gone with for the rest of the game is so abstract and sci-fi that this kind of looks good in its own right when you look at this. But if you look at this and then you see this next to it, it's kind of like two different levels of quality. Boxes coming out of there. Do them there, and then there, and then there, and then there. There's something I like about this puzzle format as well, where it's like, it's imprecise because things bounce around. It's not... I guess Portal had that quality as well. It's not like a one right answer type puzzle. A lot of it is just produced by the... Some of the objects don't go in the right place, you know? Yeah, Kitten saying, yeah, exactly. Just take the smiley face off the people so that they don't look like they're supposed to be funny. Because that's how that humor works, right? When you've got a corporate poster in a game like the Stanley Parable or whatever, it sort of needs to pass as something that a company would put up. So it needs to look like it's trying to be serious. And then the humor comes out of like, oh, this is ridiculous, you know? And sometimes if you hang too many bells and whistles on the thing trying to signal that it's a joke, it loses the humor. Most refined Newtonium gets sent back to Earth through these accelerators. Sometimes we need you to reset and adjust the pipeline. Don't mind if I do. See, I've come to associate that blue color with it being a gravity panel you can turn on and off, but this isn't one of those. It's something else. Ah, I see. I don't really see, actually. I'm not sure what I'm trying to do, but we'll find out. Excuse me, what's happening? What's going on here? Did I completed the level. I'm not sure how I did that one. Yeah, the funeral home game was called I Need to Speak to the Manager. That was another collab jam game that had very good in-world posters. I mean, a lot of it just really... It's going to sound tedious, but a lot of it just comes from Google. Look up the thing you're parodying, make a mood board of them, copy loads of them into a mood board, look at them very carefully, look at how certain things are laid out and how colors are used and stuff like that, why they've used the typefaces they use. The humans have also created these jump pads. They seem to enjoy them for some reason. Again, the red here, it's like, why have we chosen red for this? Because red tends to have very specific connotations and uses. And if this is just like friendly character giving us advice, it feels odd for it to be red. The jump pads, we love a good jump pad. Jump. Don't forget you can cancel gravity by pressing Q. They're cancelling gravity now. You're not even allowed to pull things down to the floor anymore these days. You get cancelled. The woke mob. The woke mob don't believe in gravity anymore. They're cancelling people who believe in gravity. Would you believe it? Feelings aren't facts. They throw you in jail nowadays if you say you believe in gravity. What was that? I love having an intelligent audience who know when I'm being ironical. Like, for example, when I pretend that I think ironical is a real word. That's my favourite. Gravity doesn't care about your footings. Yeah, exactly. I'm not quite sure what I'm trying to do here. I do feel like there is a certain there's a certain quality to these puzzles that makes them quite open to being brute forced. Just like, I will just put stuff in a place and see what happens. But that is not doing anything good, what I'm trying to do there. Maybe I don't need to do what I was trying to do there. Maybe I just need to get out of here. This is a trippy game. Okay. Nothing to see over here. What's this? Oh, it's that guy. Some children. Maybe it's two of the same child. I don't know. Press Q. Okay. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right, the game did tell me the solution. So that means that I can make the box gravitate without me going that way. I get ya. So if I didn't ignore gravity, it's not doing anything there. I'm definitely having a lot of situations where I complete the puzzle and I'm like, how do I do that? I don't know. But maybe that's just an early game thing, and eventually we'll hit a point where there are puzzles where you absolutely can't brute force them. It's Pet Shop Boys. Right, they need to get in there, but they can only get in there from the top. Interesting. Okay. This is getting... This cube manipulation is getting a bit more puzzly now. But that's not doing anything. Hello, cubes. Hi, Acthra Studios. I only play games that have been released on Steam for Discord members. So the submission link you see is for games that are still in development. The whole point of the channel really is to only look at games that are still in development. So you can submit games via the website, via the link, but bear in mind, if you have a price on your game and you're charging for it and it's like for sale, then I don't include games that fit that description, because I'm not a games review show. I'm a game design feedback criticism channel, and there's no point doing that if you've already decided your game is perfect enough to launch. Which lots of people do before anyone has even played their game, which is mildly insane. Let's put it that way. I've got a completely unplaytested game. Let's put it on Steam and ask people for $20. More people do that than don't do that, and I find that scary and alarming. It's like, I don't know what it's like. I mean, it costs you like $100 to put a game on Steam, doesn't it? It costs you like £90 or something. So I can't think of a comparison, because I guess all you're spending is the time to make the game. But if you're going to make the game, you might as well get people to playtest it before you put it out and say, hey, this is a product we think people should pay money for. You're a natural, you shouldn't have any problems fulfilling the new quotas. Wildly unfair and inhumane. Maybe for your predecessor, but not this guy. Okay. Here we've got to get stuff in there. And in order to do that, I've got to somehow... Okay. The temptation is just to pick up every block individually and just throw it in the... So we've got some here that are like, they can go either way. We've got one up there and one down there. Turn everything off. So if that goes up and over there, and then I drop it from there, it will go in. But how do we do that en masse? They're like something where I need to be on the other thing to see. I feel like I might have broken this level because I can't see how I can move the boxes from where they are unless I push them. Let me try that from the start. It's called Different Perspectives, so we've got some sort of like clue in the title, which I like. Okay, so that's where they're going to come out of, I think. Previously they came out and they went here. But I don't think we want that to happen. I think we want to do something else. So let's take the clue that we've been given in the title. These two-way ones are really confusing. Okay. So we don't want this one, I don't think, because that's just going to pull all the boxes back into where they were last time, and we don't actually want them there. Yeah, I think the gravity fields are all different shapes. It does feel like maybe if you want to indicate how far the gravity field will go before you turn it on, you need like a wireframe around the edge of it or something. This is definitely more of a kind of Angry Birds type physics puzzle than a Portal type physics puzzle at the moment, because we're doing it. We're getting success. Stuff is going in the thing. But I don't really feel like I've had to solve a hard puzzle to make it happen. I do quite like this though, that you have to switch things as they're in transit and you have to like react. It feels like it does feel like fixing something, like being in a situation, like being in an engineer and like fixing something on the go, and I quite like that. It's not it's difficult because the aesthetic is so close to Portal that people are going to expect the way of thinking that you need to operate the game is going to be like Portal, but it's not really like that. It's kind of closer to something like a Lemmings type game where everything is going and you're like in the middle of it and you're changing stuff on the fly. Oh, my quota was reached, and then so it's a rate quota rather than a total. I love the fact that it's like you must get the boxes per minute up to a certain thing or you can't leave, and then as soon as you leave it just breaks again. Just like, yeah, that's it. I am going to wrap things up there. I think that is coming along really well. I almost feel like... let me see what I've got. Yeah, I think we hit everything today. I'm going to do Planet Popper again next time because we saw Planet Popper last time. It almost feels like I kind of like the art style, but the fact that you are trying to optimize, it's an optimization puzzle rather than like Portal looks the way it does because it's like test chambers, right? And it's very smooth and clear. And the way you're supposed to think is like you work the puzzle out and then there's one solution. This is more of like an efficiency optimization game that uses physics in a fun way to do that. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if there'd be any benefit in trying to make it feel a little bit dirtier, because it does feel like the kind of fantasy is like you are an engineer running around fixing the thing as it runs, rather than necessarily solving a clean cut puzzle. And I wonder if that's worth thinking about and how the visuals tie into that or don't at the moment, because I think it kind of looks good, but I think maybe making it look a little bit grubbier would fit the theme better of it being like you are fixing a machine as it runs. I don't know how other people feel about that, but that's neat. I quite like It actually reminds me, I think the most recent game in that kind of genre, of that kind of Lemmings type game, of sort of fixing the problem as it runs. I don't know if people have played Humanity, where it's like, this is basically, you know, Lemmings but with liquid physics for how the people move. It kind of reminds me a little bit of playing that. Just the kind of hecticness of, yeah, you're doing a puzzle, but it's actually a puzzle with degrees of success that are based on some very kind of loose puzzle solving that isn't always like you get it and then you execute it and then it's cleanly done. Oh, it's not running. Steam have decided they don't want me to show this commercial for a game. But yeah, Humanity is just like Lemmings with loads and loads of characters. Yeah, Manifold Garden, the art style is very similar, where it's got like that very geometric, and then using a toon shader to do something that feels kind of like, yeah, Manifold Garden is like 2020. Did this come out before Control? I feel like Control would have taken influence from this if it didn't, because it's this kind of trippy brutalism, like brutalist architecture plus psychedelic, what the hell is going on type stuff. But I don't know. What we just played, I like the narrative framing of it, of like having a game that is all about gravity and then having it that you are moving these Newtonian cubes around, and that's like the element that controls gravity. And that, I like how coherent that is. I think that works really well. I think I would just think a little bit more down the route of, yeah, it is more like you're an engineer helping a machine to run rather than like perfectly fixing the problem type thing. And think about some of the art direction in relation to that, because it looks so close to Portal, and I think that's gonna maybe attract the slightly wrong audience, because it's not Portal. And I don't mean that in the sense that it doesn't have portals, right? It's more the fact that that kind of sleek aesthetic suggests that you're going to be doing a particular type of thinking, and it's actually more of this kind of panicky, oh, quick, switch that, oh, quick, switch that. And I think maybe making it look a bit dirtier and grubbier would match that better. We've got some robots later on as well. They look like they're going to come and bother you. Right, folks. Thank you all for joining today. I'm going to wrap up now. We've got another Indies Under the Knife tomorrow, which is the non-community stream. The Outsiders. The Interlopers. Games with spooky settings tomorrow. We have not necessarily full-blown horror games. Phosphorus, a little kind of walking around in the dark game, quite frankly. Rogue Blight, a spooky roguelike, and Pinnacle Point, which I think is a sort of Suda 51 Twin Peaks type game. I don't have any clue about those. I'm just going off what I've seen. So Phosphorus, small game, jam game, walking around looking at things with a match. This was submitted to the channel ages ago, probably like a year ago. It's been in the queue for a while. Sorry I didn't get around to it, but we're getting around to it tomorrow. Rogue Blight, interesting marionette animation game. Doing some roguelike combat focused RPG, whatever that means. That describes 70% of video games in 2025. Pinnacle Point. Interesting PSX horror game with spookies and, yeah, atmospheric locations. So that will be what we're doing tomorrow. And thank you for joining. And good luck with whatever